Today we are gonna introduce the Python programming language with the basis of its term. Okay? In the Python, if you use the sharp operator, and which means that this is the comment operator. Okay? This is the first knowledge about the Python programming language. So, firstly, what's the Python programming language? This is the high level, general purpose, and object-oriented programming language. But what is that? First of all, the meaning of the high level is the height, the low level hardware details. Okay? Which means that we have the memory in our computer or the registers and etc. And so these holes are hidden by the by the Python programming language to easy to use. Okay? Secondly, what's the meaning of the general purpose? The general purpose means that it can be used in web programs, AI, automation, or scientific programming. Okay? Which means that we have the many large concepts to be built in the Python programming language. In C or C++, we don't have kind of opportunity, because if we want to use the web operator, and so we need to design the interface. But in the Python, default the interface is included. But in C++ or the C, we are not. Okay? And so, what's the meaning of the object-oriented? Object-oriented means that it supports to the classes, which we are talking about in the later lessons, or inheritance, or encapsulation, or polymorphism. Okay? And this language is created by Guido van Rossum in 1991. Okay? And the code readability and simplicity. Okay? This is the purpose of the creation of the Python programming language. And so we want to talk about the Python program, and so we should remember that it's high level, general purpose, and object oriented. Okay? Besides from the C++ or the C programming language, it is the interpreted programming language, which means that first of all, we need to write that the code is not compiled directly. Into machine code, okay, as in C or C++. And so instead we use the Python reads and executes each instruction, which will be talk about in the later lesson, line by line, through an interpreter. Okay? And so, which means that we have the sum program to interpret our Python codes in order to execute on the some virtual machine. Okay? And so this makes debugging easier, and also may produce to the execution speed, which is bad for us. If we want to design the high-speed program, we need to use the C or C++ program, not the Python one. but the Python is easier to build, write, and debug. Okay, and so the main interpreter of the Python is called CPython. Okay, this is the C interpreter Python programming language, which means that our codes what is translated into the C program, and then this C program is run on the virtual machine, guys. Okay. The other property of the Python is to what? The possessing or the having the dynamic type system, which means that we can assign any variable to another one without to what? Considering the type of variable, which means that we can assign or we can define the string or integer or double value, and so we can assign or operate to the what? The A equal B. We can convert easily just like this one because we don't have any static type in here, just like in C or C++ programming language. Okay, which means that the variable types are determined at runtime. Just like in the C++, we have the malloc or calloc operator in C++ programming language. The Python possesses this default value at the language. Okay, we don't need to use any other function to build the dynamic type system in the Python, which means that not at compile time. Okay, example, we have the x is equals to the 10, and so this is integer, but x can be assigned to the just like this one next keyword, which is string. Okay. We can easily assign it, but in C++ programming language we cannot do that. Okay. So this flexibility allows rapid prototyping, but may cause runtime type errors, because in C or C++ programming language these are the compile error, not the runtime one. And so if we want to design the C or C++ programming language, if it pass with the what? With the compile time, there could be less error than the Python. But in the Python we should careful to what? To define the variables with a specific type of it. Okay, because everything is in the dynamic type. And also the dynamic typing increases developer speed at the cost of strict type safety. It's easier to write a Python program than the C++, guys. Okay, so another important property or the knowledge about the Python is that the Python translates whole codes using an implementation known as CPython. Okay, which means that CPython is the default and the official Python interpreter. Okay, written in the C language, and so it compiles. What's the meaning of the compiles? Compiles means that we can translate all the C codes into the what? Into the machine codes to be run on our computer system or microcontroller. Okay, but in this case, the CPython is known or written in the C programming language, and it is used to what? To translate the whole the codes given in the Python into the what? Into the machine code, but with some difference, which means that it compiles the Python code or source code we are talking about. This is the identifier, the .py, into intermediate bytecode. We don't have such kind of property just like the bytecode in C or C++ programming language, guys. And so the C Python turns every code into the what? Into the bytecode. Okay, the bytecode is then interpreted by Python virtual machine, PVM. Okay, and so this bytecode is run at just like this one, the Python code. We have this source and also this source Python bytecode is obtained from the translation of the Python code, and then this bytecode interpreted this byte codes. Okay, at each step we have the step 1. The source code is first compiled into platform independent bytecode. And at the step 2, this Python code PVM reads and executes this bytecode, okay, in the running class. And after that, in the step 3, because bytecode is universal or the general purpose, the same Python code can run on any OS or the other operating system, which is a huge advantage to the what? To our Python code. In C or C++, we should use the different compilers or the interpreters to the what? To build on this code in the what? In the different operating system, just like OS. And as a result, if we want to use the Python or C or C++ code in the Windows, we have different compilers. But at another systems, just like OS, and so we should use the another compiler, because the compiler creates the what? The machine code, especially for in the what? C or C++ programming language, guys. Okay, so example case can be given with the what? The, for example, script.py. This turns into script.pyc. This is the bytecode, and this is executed by PVM. Okay. So as a result, the Python has the property or the features of the binary portability, okay, which gives us a way to run the code in any platform. Okay. What's the meaning of the binary portability? It means that compiled bytecode can run on any system, guys. Okay, and so as long as a Python interpreter is installed, and so this code can either the Windows or the OS can be built or can be run at both this system. Okay, and so this ensures to what? The cross-platform compatibility. Windows, macOS, and Linux. Okay. This is what? This is the what is the Python programming language. As simple as the Python programming language is that one. Okay. But in order to understand the true nature of the programming language, we need to talk about the first to the what is language. Okay. Any question? If you don't have any question, answer what is the language? Language in linguistic science is a set of symbols for communicating each other, guys. Okay? Which means that a language provides a structured way for expressing ideas, commands, or the information. Okay? This is what we use the language in human communication. Words and grammar form this whole structure. Okay? But in programming language, we have the keywords and syntax define the same concepts for computers, guys. Okay? Instead of using the words and grammar in human language, in the programming language we have the keyword and some defined rules, which is called the syntax. For the what? For creating this structured way to communicate the other program or the computing programs. Okay? And so both the natural and the programming language sharing to the common properties, which is called the symbols and rule based nature. Okay? If this is the case, and so we need to talk about these two core concepts. There are two core concepts in any language, which is called the syntax, order of symbols, and also we have the semantics, logic or meaning. Okay? The syntax defines the rules of the symbols, the semantics gives us the logic. What's meaning? Okay? So, the syntax defines how symbols are arranged in a proper way, okay? In the valid form for the programming language, okay? But the semantic defines to the what the arrangement means. What's the logic behind idea? What does it tell us? This is called the semantics in the programming language. The underlying logic or behavior. Okay? In program or in programming language, we have these terms just like this one. The syntax called correct code structure. In terms of the keywords, parentheses, indentation, or the symbols. Okay? But we have the semantics in programming language. It is to what the logical meaning and execution of that code. Okay? It's important that we talk about. Okay? And so after that we have knowledge about the what the syntax and the semantics. This creates to what the structure way for expressing ideas in the programming language, guys. Okay? For example, in the example of this one, example 1, first I school to am going. This is wrong because here the words are valid English symbols. I school to am going. But the arrangement is incorrect. Okay? The sentence violates to the what the syntax of the English grammar in here, the syntax error. Okay, in the example 2, I am going to school. Okay, in that case the syntax is incorrect in this case. Okay, but the semantics gives us or refers to the meaning, why, when, or in what context this action happens. Okay, similarly in programming a line of code can be statically valid, otherwise we cannot interpret this code to another byte code in here. But semantically maybe this is meaningless or produce unintended results. Okay, for example, just like this one, 1 divided by 0. This is syntaxically correct, right? This is the integer, this is the integer, but if we want to use this case, the computer cannot solve this problem, either the human, right? Because its result is equals to the what? The infinity value. And so we don't have any operator or any codes to define the infinity on the what? On the programming language or the computer. Okay? This is semantic error, guys. Okay? For example, in the Python, we can write the x is equals to the 10. This is valid, but if we want to use a string operator in here, just like this one, we cannot sum to the what? The one integer with the what? The string character in here. If we want to use this, the syntax is correct in the Python, but semantically is invalid. Okay? Because the Python converts this string character into the what? Into the some integer values. It's meaningless. But is the syntax correct in that case? But what about this one? If we want to use this property, and so if I delete the one comma operator in here, and so the syntax is incorrect, guys. And also semantics is invalid. Okay? Therefore, as a result, syntax ensures the form correctness, but the semantics ensures to the what? The meaning correctness. Okay? Both are essential for the clear communication, especially for the what? The programming language, guys. Any question? This is the similar analogy with the what? With the human language and the Python program or the computer programming language. These are identical, guys. Okay? So, if you don't have any question, and so we are continue with the what? With this one, the introduction to Python programming language. Okay? I'm sorry. Okay. So, what's the properties of the Python programming language? First of all, we need to talk about the important properties of the Python, which is called the what? The dynamic type system. Okay? Which means that the Python allows variables to change type during runtime. Okay? The variable name in the Python is a reference to a data object stored in memory. Okay, this is just called an address or the reference value, just like in the C++ programming language. But we have the dynamic type system in here, which means that For example, x is equals to the 5. After that, in the next comment, we can write the what? This x is equals to the Mehmet. Okay? This is syntactically correct, semantically correct, but this must created for the what? For a specific purpose, guy. Okay? And so, which means that the type of that object can change upon reassignment, which is used for the what? The equal operator in here, okay? Or the assignment operator, because types are bound to values, not names, okay? This is the what? The source of the address operator in the Python programming language. So, as a result, this feature is called dynamic typing, okay? Just like this one, this is the dynamic typing, okay? As x is equals to the 5, a is a string, and so different types, but the change in the new assignment. C or C++ cannot permit this operation. C or CPP cannot permit this operation, but Python does. Okay? In C or C++, a variable's data type must be declared explicitly. For example, in the C++, integer a is equals to 5. You need to give the specific name of the integer value, or the type should be given exactly in here, and the type name, and also assignment operator, the initialization operator, and also we need a right-hand value in C++. But in Python, we don't need to do that because we have dynamic types in here. So the once declared, it cannot hold a different type without explicit casting in the C++. Python handles this flexibility automatically by dynamic binding at runtimes, guys. Okay? So this is the what? Ayşenur. Yes. At the last statement is current for the R algorithm. For examples, we have this one. We can print the X in here just like this one, and so Python debugger is running right now. And so just see that we have only Mehmet is seen on the terminal page. Okay? You understand what I'm saying in here? Okay. We'll create an example, but we need to talk about firstly to the basic operators. Okay, the basic meaning of this case. So how about this one? We can define another important property in the Python. For example, the token. What's the meaning of the token? Okay, anyone knows that? What is a token or the token? A token is the smallest individual unit or element in a program, guys. Okay, it can represent to the identifiers. We will debate it in the next session. Keywords, operators, delimiters, or literals. Okay, these are the atoms of the of this language. Just like this one, in Turkish we have Mehmet, and so Mehmet consists of the M, E, H, M, E, T. These are tokens. Okay, but Mehmet is also tokens because it's a special name, right? We cannot divide the Mehmet into parts. just like the keywords or the operators or the delimiters or the letters or the identifiers in here. Okay, and so the interpreter knows this mechanism and reads and classifies code into tokens during to the what? Lexical analysis. Okay, for example, A plus B times 10 in here. Here we have A token plus token, B token, multiplication token, and 10 is a token. Okay, tokenization helps the interpreter understand the syntax of this structured code, guys. Okay, and so these are the tokens. But what if we are talking about the keywords? Keywords are the main elements to build your functionality in your Python program, guys. So the keywords are the main important points for the what? For creating your Python programs. Okay. So what is the question? The question is that the keywords. And so the keywords are special reserved words predefined by Python language. Okay, and so they have fixed the meaning and cannot be used to what? As variable names or identifiers. Because just remember the C++ lesson, we have the for loop, which is used or created by using the keywords of the for, right? And so we cannot assign to any specific knowledge to the for because it represents the functionality of your programming language. If we are using the for loop, and so we can create a loop. Just remember that. Okay? And so the example of this, that the for, if, while, class, return, and etc. etc. Okay, and using them as identifiers cause the syntax error in your Python programming language. We cannot say that the for is equals to the 5. For example, 4 is equals to the 5, just like this one. And so if I run this code, and so syntax error is seen on the terminal page, guys. Okay. So these are the keywords, and now we have also another definition, identifiers, right? In the identifiers we need to ask this question: what is identifiers? Identifiers means that this is the user-defined names given to the variable, function, class, objects. These are the special name for the what? For this language. In Turkish language, Mehmet is my special name. For example, okul or üniversite. These are the special name. But we can use the Yıldız Teknik Üniversitesi, Yıldız Technical University. These are the user-defined name in our human language. Okay. But in the Python we can use the a. Foo is a function name. Print is a function name. My variable, it's the variable name. We can assign any name in here, just like this one, except the keywords or the other syntax rules. Okay. And so for creating the rules for identifiers, firstly we need to use the what? A ladder or underscore to create these times, and also cannot start with a number in Python. Case sensitive. These are important, guys, and cannot be a keyword for the identifiers. Okay. These are important properties. If you do that, this gives us a syntax error, and this for good, because at the beginning we informed to the what, we are informed to the what, these are the syntax error. This is not a runtime error. For the programs, this is a good feature. Okay. So another property is that the literals. Okay. What is the literals? Literals means that are fixed data values assigned directly to variables. They represent the constant values in a code, numbers, string, booleans, or another one. Okay. For example, if we have these properties in here, just like this one, for example, 1, 2, 3. This is a numeric literals. 3.14 or minus 44. Okay. Or string. For example, Ali. For example, Osman. Or boolean character, true or false or none. These are the literals, and this cannot be changed with the what? With the runtime operator. The variables or the identifiers can be assigned to the new variable or the new values, but these literals are constant and they cannot be changed. For example, if we are using the 1, 2, 3, and so this always preserved at the memory without change. Just remember that. These are called the right hand values, guys. Okay. So another important concept are the operators. Okay. And so what is operators? Operators are special symbols that perform to what? Operations on operands. Okay. They can represent arithmetic, comparison, logical, bitwise, or assignment operators in this case. Okay. For example, just remember the C or C++ programming language: plus, minus, times, over, equal, or greater, smaller, and etc. These are called operators, and so each operator is implemented internally as a predefined function, which means that we have some special properties in the Python programming language. Just remember the C++ lesson. These have the class property, and the operator overloading can be defined in the C++, but not in the C1. At Python programming language, everything is an object of any class, which highly complex topic we will learn about at the 7th or the 8th weeks, guys. But these are the operators, but this is also called a function. Predefined function is built on these operators. Okay. Any question? Just like the operators, we have another properties in here, which is called the delimiters. It's a typical feature of the Python programs. What's the delimiter? I kept this note because I share this note on through the Google Classroom. And so you can easily analyze my codes and the note on the VS Code Python interpreter, guys. Okay. So delimiters are special characters that separates or mark the end of statements or the code blocks. For example, in the Python, we have the parentheses just like this one, or the brackets just like this one, or the braces just like this one, or column, this one, or the semicolon, okay, comma, this one, okay. These are given in the Python programs, and the indentation and the column are especially important to define some code blocks. For example, what is the indentation? Indentation is the top character in Python. For example, if A greater than 10 and so B is equals to the 100, okay, and after that we can print the whole this B just like this one, but we need to define the A first here. For example, 15, okay, and so if I run this code, we will see the 100 values in here, okay, and so these column values, for example, these are the operators, these are the operators in here, just like this one. We can create the complex codes by using these notations, but the delimiters, just like this one, this creates or defines the condition of if at this case, okay. Otherwise we cannot split or separate the code lines to be interpreted in the Pythons, okay. The indentation means that we have no indentation here, and so if I run this code, we have the indentation error, expect an intended block after if statement on blah blah blah, okay. But if I use pushing the top in here, this is the indentation, okay. In the C++, we have used the semicolon operator, dot comma, to split to what to code. But in Python, we use the top operator to split the every code, okay? So, we have the another properties in here, just like this one, expression. What is the expression? Expression is a combination of variables, literals, or operator, and it can be evaluated to produce values. For example, A, for example, A plus 1, for example, A plus 1 times 2. These are called the expression. Expressions are the basic computational units of Python statement, guys, okay. So in the last topic related to the Python programming introduction session is the syntax rules of coding in Python, okay. What is the syntax? Syntax rules define, just remember, the correct structure of statements, guys, in Python, okay. Unlike CPP, the Python does not use semicolons or this one or braces, this one. By default, we use the separate lines or define statements we use the top or indent operator in here, okay, for the line break. But in order to understand these concepts, just like this one, A is equals to the 10. If I run this code by pushing the Control F5 button in here, and so we don't need to do that. But if I choose to build this one, and so this is syntax error, okay? Because these are the invalid syntax. But if I push the enter button in here, or give the indent or indentation, and so this creates another command line, the expression of these terms, okay? And so we have three expressions in here. just like this one. But this is the one expression with the correct syntax. Okay? And so this is the syntax error. Syntax error. But a is equals to 10, no error. Okay? Or we can define a is equals to 10, b is equals to 20, c is equals to 30. Okay? If I run this code, we don't have any error. A, b, c can be written just like this one, 10, 20, 30 in here. But if we want to do this, we need to use the semicolon at the same line. Otherwise, if I choose the what to delete this semicolon, and so we have the syntax error in here. Okay? These are another properties of the Python. Okay? Any question? If you don't have any question, and then we will have the 15 minutes break, and after that we will continue. Okay, guys?